We're starting a new project today, the 257 Roberts Featherweight Project. And for this project, we're going to go over every aspect of getting this rifle ready for hunting season. So setting up the rifle, load development, load development, and so on. And today, we're going to define exactly what our goals are for this project. Generally, when we buy a new rifle, it's for a specific purpose. So if we wanted to do long-range precision target shooting, we would get a rifle specifically for long-range precision target shooting. And we would choose a cartridge for that rifle based on that purpose as well. For long-range precision target shooting, maybe a 6.5 Creedmoor, 7mm Remington Magnum, something for long-range precision target shooting. Well, my purpose for getting a Winchester Model 70 Featherweight chambered in 257 Roberts was simple enough. I wanted a lightweight, accurate, bolt-action hunting rifle that I could carry into those really hard to get to places on public land. And I chose 257 Roberts because, well, first of all, it's an outstanding cartridge. But second, it's a low recoiling cartridge, and low recoiling cartridges really complement lightweight rifles. Now, I could have went with 243. That would have been a great option. But myself personally, I just prefer the 257 Roberts because I can shoot heavier bullets in it than a 243. The limit on 243 is 100 grains. 257 Roberts, I can go up to 115, 120 grain bullets. And I've got my own personal biases here. I tend to favor heavier bullets. So that was my reason, my purpose for getting a Winchester Model 70 Featherweight chambered in 257 Roberts. But that wasn't the reason I got this Winchester Model 70 Featherweight chambered in 257 Roberts. That's the reason I got this Winchester Model 70 Featherweight chambered in 257 Roberts. This is a Winchester Model 70 XTR Featherweight, and it's chambered in 257 Roberts. The only problem with this rifle, though, I mentioned really liking those heavier bullets. I can't shoot those heavier bullets accurately in this rifle. Just all over the place. With this rifle, when I shoot the heavier bullets, this rifle just jumps all over the place. And it's not that the recoil hurts or anything like that from this rifle. It just literally it's like a ping pong ball. It just bounces off of them and jumps everywhere. It'll jump clean off the rest if I'm not careful at the range. Well, I went to 100 grain bullets in this rifle, and that was just enough to reduce the recoil ever so slightly. And all of a sudden, I quit getting all that muzzle jump, and my groups came in from, just horrible groups, to 1.5 inches. And 1.5 inch groups at 100 yards is more than adequate for a hunting rifle. But that's always bothered me at not being able to shoot the heavier bullets in this rifle. Well, I have wondered, when they came out with these rifles here, and this is a 2012, I said in the previous video a 2013, it's actually a 2012. I called Winchester to verify it because I knew they produced the special runs that this came from in both 2012 and 2013. Winchester verified as 012. But I wondered when they came out with these, would these stabilize the heavier bullets? I've wondered that ever since then, and honestly, there's only one way to find out. That's to get the rifle and see. We got the rifle and we're going to see. Now, I know that sounds asinine, to get a rifle that's almost identical to another rifle, chambered in the same cartridge, just to see if it's any different. But that's how we learn. And that's also a big reason why I bought another Featherweight. This is my pre-64 Winchester Model 70 Featherweight, except for this one's chambered in 270 Winchester. Now, I had several reasons for getting this rifle, but primarily it's I wanted to know were the pre-64 Featherweights or pre-64 Winchesters as good as I'd always heard. And I can say without a doubt it absolutely is. This is one of the finest rifles I've ever shot. But I was also very curious, having experienced all the muzzle jump with this XTR, would I get the same thing with this pre-64 Featherweight? And keep in mind, it's chambered in 270 Winchester, significantly more recoil than 257 Roberts. What to my surprise, I did not get all the muzzle jump with this rifle. I mean, it's just one of the finest shooting rifles I've ever fired. What that got me to really thinking about and wondering, well, what's the difference between these rifles? Well, one of the differences is this 1960 Featherweight's a half a pound heavier than this 1982 XTR. And I think weight's a big factor there. Well, those are things we don't know until we get a rifle and we try it and we see. So that was a big part of my reasoning for getting this one, was just to get it and see. Outside of the fact I've always wanted one, I really wanted to know. And as soon as I picked up this rifle, the first thing I noticed was it was a little heavier. So I got out my scales and I weighed all three of these rifles. This 2012 Featherweight was the heaviest one in the bunch. It came in at 7 pounds, 15 ounces, as is, scope rings, everything. This 1960 Featherweight weighed in at 7 pounds, 14 ounces. Literally an ounce difference between the two. The 1982 Featherweight weighed exactly 7 pounds, 7 ounces. So half a pound difference between this newer Featherweight and it. So that's the purpose of this rifle. And now our goals for this rifle in our project is the first. I want this rifle, I want to be able with this rifle to shoot sub-MOA groups with the 175 and 120 grain bullets. I know the rifle's capable of it. I know the cartridge is capable of it. Second goal for this project. We have two almost identical Winchesters here. The only difference between them is weight. I'm guessing this one, being a half a pound heavier, is going to shoot those heavier bullets better. So if it does it, this is the perfect chance for us to really look into how weight affects muzzle jump on lightweight rifles. That's our goal for this project. Sub-MOA groups out of this rifle with heavier bullets, understand the relationship of weight to muzzle jump lightweight rifles. And honestly, I can't wait to get started on this project. And there's a lot here we can learn as far as recoil. One thing I did not mention was with this XTR, when I was shooting the heavier bullets and just spraying bullets all over the place, I fired one shot. That one shot, I cannot tell you what I did different on that shot than any other shot. But the rifle never moved. The crosshair never moved off of the target. The muzzle never jumped. And it literally felt like the rifle was just suspended in space, balanced perfectly on my shoulder. And I could watch impact through the scope, just as if you were watching it on a video. That's the purest shot I've ever fired in my life. And I've never been able to replicate that. I dug into recoil and understanding those things, and I came close a few times, but I've never been able to fire a shot as pure as that one. Well, that's something else I want to get into. And keep in mind that these are hunting rifles. Ultimately, our goal with every hunting rifle is to make it the most lethal hunting implement it can possibly be. Or at least that's my goal. I figure I owe it to the game I hunt to go out there with the most lethal firearm I can, because I don't want the game that I hunt to suffer any more than it has to. So I want to put them down as quickly and painlessly as possible. And I know I get hung up on nostalgia and history and all that on firearms, but ultimately hunting rifles, that's our goal. Make them as lethal as possible, and that's what we're going to try to do with this. And understanding that recoil and keeping that muzzle down and not losing visibility through the scope is a huge advantage when hunting. My father years ago had a very similar experience on a deer that he shot. He was on a pipeline. Buck walked out, and he had a Ruger Model 77 and 270 Winchester. He shot the buck, and he noticed that the buck had looked over its shoulder behind it after it walked out. Usually you see a deer look behind it. A lot of times there's another deer following it. After he shot, sure enough, the second deer came out. My father had already cycled the bolt while it was on his shoulder, and he shot the second deer on the pipeline while it was running across. And he said he had the exact same experience as far as the rifle never moved. He could literally watch impact on the deer, see the bullet hit, and he could see the hair fly up on the deer. And as far as I know, he's never been able to do that again since. So just something about the way he was positioned and his technique for that one shot, and the same for me at the range. I want to see if I can do that consistently, because that's a huge advantage to actually be able to watch impact. That's not necessarily a huge advantage on accuracy as far as normal rifles. Muzzle jump you can still get extremely good at accuracy. I do with all my rifles, except for this one. And we're going to see if we can't figure out why, and we're going to see how smaller groups we can shoot with this rifle. So next week for this project, we're going to go over load development, because that's also a critical aspect of setting up a hunting rifle. And with hunting rifles, there's really three primary things we have to be concerned with. Picking a bullet that's going to perform as we expect it to on impact, shot placement, being able to put that bullet where we need to, and then it having enough velocity to reach vitals when it gets there. If we get those three things right there right on any hunting rifle, it's going to be lethal, and load selection is an important part of that. So I will see y'all next week, and God bless, and have a good day.